Hi everyone, I'm here with my bonus daughter Ariana,
Hi, everybody.
and we're enjoying another beautiful winter day here in Arizona. It's the reason why so many winter visitors and snowbirds flock down every winter. And I wanted to share with you all this process of grief that I've been going through. It's been about 11 days since the passing of my father, and I wanted to share how it is that I feel like I've been able to find more peace inside of me in my heart than I could have ever imagined. For me, the loss of my father has been the greatest pain I've ever gone through. In fact, it was my greatest fear growing up. When I moved away to college at 16, I spent many nights actually crying about the idea of simply losing my father, possibly helping me prepare for this experience. But I think there's certain tools that I've used, thank you, sweetheart, that have supported me tremendously. I mean, both tools that I've had to lean in and use myself, but then also a lot of resources outside of me. And I wanted to touch on the stages of grief too. So there's a grief cycle put together by Kubler-Ross, which identifies the stages of grief. They include denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And I've certainly gotten to experience all of these. And thankfully, much quicker than I could have ever imagined, have been accepting or finding acceptance over the situation. Not only acceptance, but gratitude, which has blown me away. I could have never imagined responding in this way. I think the greatest factor, the greatest tool that has helped me find this acceptance is God, is a strong relationship with God, a foundation on spiritual teachings, and a personal relationship. I've had to lean in more into my relationship with the divine more than ever before. Before, I knew of these certain truths of how to work through grief, but never had I experienced loss or what the mind wants to consider as loss as intensely and as real as it has been. And believe it or not, I have a lot of gratitude for it, because I've found that in working through this hardship, working through the greatest pain I could have ever imagined, I'm being liberated from the greatest fear I ever had. I'm finding more motivation and more will to carry on my father's legacy, which I think is the sign of the ultimate leader, is leaving a legacy and preparing those to continue on in their name. And so I think in addition to these lessons, this relationship that I have with God, what it's also taken is a strong relationship with individuals with beautiful God-aligned souls who have reminded me of the teachings, of the power of these concepts, when at times when my ego was struggling to embrace what could be. So often I found that my mind would focus on, like I said, what a loss. This mentor, this leader, this pillar in my life is no longer here. I found all those thoughts are fruitless. They don't bring happiness. They don't bring peace. They don't bring acceptance. And while I've certainly allowed myself to grieve and spent many nights completely, emotionally exhausted from the tears, fatigued, I've let that out. And in so doing so, I've let in more gratitude and acceptance for the memories that I have shared with my father, for the lessons that I learned from my father. This was a perspective that I gained from a dear friend of mine and an incredible life coach,
Dr. Jamil Syed, rather.
He's been a brother and actually an inspiration for me throughout this whole process, as he went through a similar catalyst in his life. Just knowing that there are other souls who have made it through this, and not only made it through, but grown through hardship, for me has been incredibly useful and motivating. And so he reminded me, Alan, there's so many sons out there that don't get to have the relationship, the dear, tender relationship that you had with your father. So just recognizing, wow, I may have had decades of plans with him, but I have decades of memories with him. 24 years of just priceless, joyful, catalyzing experiences. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. That is something that many do not receive. And so I thank Jamil from the bottom of my heart for reminding me of that. I've also had great mentors, such as my favorite pastor, Joel Osteen. Believe and feel what you want, judge however you like, because of the scale of his church. But I find that his messages are so powerful. They speak right to my heart, and they pattern interrupt the thoughts that don't bring peace. The what if, the what could I have done, the why God. No, Joel Osteen reminded me, favor is coming. Whenever we go through a hardship, there's gonna be some good at the other end. We've just gotta trust that that good is coming. Okay, the blessings are coming. And he reminded me that through all catalysts, and he actually lost his father too. That changed him. And I feel it changing me too in ways that I could have never imagined. I feel myself maturing and stepping into roles and into ways of being that I couldn't have foreseen. And so his message of don't just get through it, grow through it, has been resonating and filling my mind. And I've, through this whole process, been listening to his station on Sirius XM, watching videos, filling myself with nourishing thoughts, nourishing information and resources. As if left alone to our own devices and the ego mind, I find that these challenges, these incredibly tough transitions in life are so challenging. This is why all cultures and civilizations, in antiquity, have had strong spiritual beliefs. It's for these very purposes, and even if none of it were true, I'll tell you what, it brings a lot of peace of mind. Another powerful reminder that I received from one of these God-aligned souls was from Dr. Kaushik, the father of a dear friend of mine and our families. And in speaking to him during a time when I would have been speaking to my father, it was a very tough time. It was on Friday. He reminded me, Alan, it's easy for the mind to think about what have I lost, but that's an ignorant perspective. It's not taking into account my father's perspective. It's not taking into account God's plan. And so he said, Alan, instead of asking yourself, what have you lost? Ask yourself, what have you gained? And most importantly, what has he gained? Thanks to my spiritual beliefs, I've been able to lean into that and say, hey, he was a healer and a mentor and a peer for so many, and worked decades, 8 to 4, Monday through Friday during the season, and supported thousands. He, although he loved life, was well deserving of a rest, was well deserving of moving on to what's next, taking with him all the incredible blessings and karma that he's created from being in service his whole life. And so that reminds me of another tool or recommendation Jamil gave to me, which is to make a video of the greatest lessons I learned from my father, which will certainly be part of my next video. And I also wanted to share what's also been helping me is leaning into the scriptures, like I said, the spiritual teachings. And so for me, the Bible and both the Bhagavad Gita have brought tremendous insight and fortitude into my heart and into my mind. In Genesis, for those who resonate with the scriptures, God said in the beginning, eat of all trees except the tree of knowledge of good and evil. What I've come to find, and through a conversation with a dear friend of mine, Gordon, is that what that could be representing is judgment. Because what do we require in order to say something is good or evil? It's a judgment. And so what I'm learning is that what we are here to do is experience life, not judge it, good or bad, because to do so, it may be stepping into ignorance, and also can bring a lot of suffering if we're judging these experiences as not good, as bad. And so what I've learned is to work through it. Yes, as humans, we're going to experience emotionality, and we get to work through that, but not judge ourselves when we are experiencing our humanity. And that, for me, has been tremendously healing, along with the words of Lord Krishna, as written in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, the wise man lets go of all results, good or bad, and is focused on action alone. He said, a wise man does not grieve for the dead or for the living. It goes on to say, non-being can never be, being can never not be, for we are eternal. We may seem to lose our loved ones because our body decays, but death is certain for the born. And if you are a believer in reincarnation, this may bring a lot of peace of mind. And for the dead, rebirth is certain. This is a belief that I carry and which has also brought a lot of peace of mind to me. And so in leaning in on these teachings, I have found more peace, more gratitude, and more acceptance than I could have ever imagined. And I hope that in me sharing this, if you may find value in that, or share it with a loved one. And I can assure you that while it's always going to be a difficult and challenging thing, by leaning into God, by leaning into the teachings, by surrounding ourselves with loved ones and support, and all of your support has been tremendous. I outlined some notable moments and influencers in my life, but know that you have all provided tremendous support, and so I thank you for listening. I thank you for being here with me, and I hope that you can find value, and I trust that I can move forward, taking from this, growing from this, and I look forward to continuing to share with you what I'm learning in life, both in school and medical school. It's been an incredible journey and challenge, actually, to juggle the passing of my greatest my greatest leader, coming to terms with new plans. We planned on working together in the future, and so just in navigating this all, it has been a lot. But I know that with God, anything is possible, because if He is for us, there is nothing and no one that is against us. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a blessed Sunday, and I thank you. I thank you for all the support and being here with me. Be well.